Hi, hello everyone. Dawn Epting here. Thank you guys so much as always for watching. I wanted to come and speak from the topic related to how to stop attracting narcissists. Or I have not yet decided what I'm going to entitle this video, but how to stop attracting narcissists, how to say no to narcissists when you don't want a narcissist back. So feel free, if you are watching on YouTube, to hit the subscribe button underneath this video and like and share this video in order to push more of this content out. But thank you, whatever platform you are watching on. So I wanted to come share from this topic because this is a topic that is very, very prevalent today. I've written some notes here that I will be sharing from. But first of all, I want to say, regardless of what anyone has said to you in the past or maybe saying to you now, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, created in the image and likeness of God. So that's what is first and foremost, most important to share. So someone like myself that for years had a proclivity to be more empathic and experience some things, in my younger years, I would wonder why I kept attracting a certain type of person. And if you're watching out there and you are more of an empath or quote unquote what's considered an empathetic person, you know what I'm saying. And it takes first self-awareness. It takes first really recognizing a pattern, in the friendships you select or the relationships you choose to get in, and when there's a pattern, after a while you realize that there is something deeper going on. That's when you become self-aware, and that's when the healing can take place. Now, it has been said, especially today, that we live in a society that is a lot more narcissistic, especially with social media and people wanting instant gratification, attention, and also there's more of an awareness of this disorder itself. So I wanted to share 4 things that I wrote down that has made my life more easy, more peaceful as I've started choosing me. If you were brought up in a religious household, often you're taught, or a community, it doesn't have to be a household, that, choosing you is selfish. You have to place others before yourself. And I was certainly taught that, in the church I was raised in. But a few years ago, I had a pastor at a different church tell me that works in a healthy environment. Putting others before yourself does not work in a toxic environment that is not healthy. It may work to a certain extent, in environments that are healthy, but at the end of the day, as we're full, as we're abundant, that flows from the inside out. So it is imperative to know who you are on the inside in order to be able to adequately give to those around you, your community, your world. So number 1, I wrote 4 points down here. You have to become self-aware of the patterns, what I said earlier. So we have to become self-aware and realize what our triggers are, what our patterns are, and why we choose to stay in these types of relationships. Perhaps it is, when you tried to speak up when you were younger, or, as a young adult, you were threatened with abandonment. And so you could be in a relationship today, and the first thing that you think about when you try to voice your opinion to your partner and they, get angry is, oh, wow, I'm going to be abandoned. And this is not, what we have to realize is this is not our present day partner, often this is something that we're mimicking from childhood, or it's a fear, it's a subconscious trigger and fear from our youth. So we have to become self-aware. It has been said from the time of our birth to 7 years old, we're in a theta state. We're in a state where it's almost a hypnotic state. It's the state that we're in right before we fall to sleep or right before we wake up, where we're easily programmed. We're just downloading information. So often these triggers occur within the first 7 years of our lives. And it's incumbent upon us to realize them at some point and reprogram ourselves to know that we are enough. Even if someone walks out of our lives, we are more than enough. We're highly valued. We're eternal spiritual beings with infinite worth and value. That is not a reflection upon us. Now, there are things, that at times we could do better. But if this is a pattern that you're trying to fix situations, you didn't necessarily cause it, you're making excuses for people as they're verbally or physically abusive, we have to reprogram ourselves. So number one, you have to become self-aware. Number two, you are healed and your preferences have changed. That's when we will no longer attract a narcissist. Give me one moment. Sorry about that. So number two, you are healed and your preferences have changed. You are healed and your preferences have changed. What you may have used to desire, what you may have once desired, you don't desire anymore. So what does healing look like? Healing often looks like maybe going through to therapy, allowing yourself to feel emotions of disappointment, anger for how you may have been treated by toxic people. You have to heal, and knowing, of course, most importantly, that you are worthy, not because of your physical appearance, not because of your financial status, but just by virtue of being a human being on this earth. You know that you deserve to be treated with dignity and with respect. You don't deserve to be breadcrumbed. You don't deserve to be strung along, and you don't deserve, just to get a little bit of affection here and there when you perform well. You deserve those things regardless. That's what healing looks like. And once you heal and you know your worth and value, often you won't even desire toxic people because you won't look for their validation, their affirmation and validation. Often what we're trying to get from narcissistic or toxic people is something that we never got, maybe in childhood. And we replay those patterns over and over and over again until, like I said in step one, we become more self-aware. So when we become more self-aware, we realize that we don't have to get the external validation from daddy or mommy or, aunts and uncles, in the form of a man or a woman or friendships or whatever. We can give that validation and affirmation to ourselves. And when we do, we won't even desire, toxic people that may seek to take advantage of you, drain your energy, manipulate you emotionally. And I know this video is a little crude, a little bit more real and raw that I talk about than the subjects that I normally talk about, but I believe that this is really important to share. So, number two, you're healed and your preferences have changed. So you don't even desire, you won't attract that person. You can say no to maybe someone that was toxic that you were, dealing with in the past because you don't even desire that anymore. Number three, you are more than enough. And if you haven't checked out my book on Amazon, Never Doubt Your Value, You Are More Than Enough, feel free to look it up. But number three, you are more than enough. You realize that you are entitled to have needs. Often when you are in a toxic environment, the needs of the narcissist or the toxic person are forefront. You know, they're paramount in the house, in the job, in the friendship. And it's almost like you squash your needs, you bury your desires and your needs. When you realize your value, then you start taking care of yourself. You realize that you're entitled to have needs as well. You know, you're entitled to have people come visit you instead of maybe always going to visit other people. You're entitled to good relationships that you know, may see other people in, or you're entitled to promotions and thriving businesses like you see. You're entitled to those things. So you know are more than enough, and you begin to put your needs first. You begin to put your needs first. And finally, most importantly, you've set up some boundaries. You realize that boundaries are not mean. They are necessary. They are necessary to protect you and to protect your energy. And toxic relationships are all about exchanges of energy. You're giving the other person usually your positive energy, your time, your effort, and they give you negative energy or little to nothing in return. So you set up boundaries. You know, you only allow people that you have vetted into your space, just like other people should vet myself or you before we come into their space. Because again, you realize that you are a priority. You are a priority. Everyone else does not have to be a priority. And you diminish yourself or deem yourself as not as important. You are a priority. And what I've written here finally is you've knocked certain people off of their pedestal. You know, often subconsciously, we assign value to people. We may get into a relationship or a friendship and we feel like, oh my gosh, you know, this person is so important, or this person is so wealthy, or this person is so beautiful. And while it's okay to admire someone's work ethic and their success or even their physical attributes, we cannot put ourselves in a lower place in regards to that person, because like I said in my opening, we're all eternal spiritual beings with infinite worth and value. So thank you. Hopefully you found value in this video. Thank you, whatever platform you're watching on. Feel free to comment, like I said, so this content can be pushed out to more people, maybe about how you overcame a narcissistic relationship by becoming more self-aware, healing, step 2, knowing you're more than enough, and setting up some boundaries. Like I said, it's okay to set up boundaries. You know, sometimes we feel like we're being, you know, mean or something of that nature, but it's okay. It's okay to protect ourselves. It's okay, you know, to implement those boundaries and to be the authentic you, not to be a people pleaser in hopes that in exchange you'll get people's company or validation, or you'll be allowed to be around them, but to set up boundaries because that is what's best for you. So feel free to look at some of the things we're doing and how you can get involved with them below this video. Thank you guys always so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.